why don't you go ahead and explain what's behind you?
I will send you images of the photographs that are taken of the car.
Awesome.
But basically, what I do, as I said before, I'm inspired by what I believe are the top designs or designers of all time, which in my mind was between 1935 and I don't know, maybe 1946. Mostly European coach builders, Pagani Falaschi, Porto, and a guy who worked for Porto, and Bugatti, Jean Bugatti. I like his stuff very much.
Oh, who doesn't?
And I just see those cars, and that gives me the seed that I begin in my mind. I don't want to build a car that's a stock car, that's an exact copy of theirs. I want to take those lines and let them influence me to build a new car using those kind of designs. And the picture that's behind me is a rendering of what I call the Swoop Coupe by a guy named Ed Flanagan. And what it is one of my Type 57 Bugatti bodies that I call the Pacific, with a set of pontoon fenders from my Boattail kit that are copies of Type 135 Delahaye, 1936 Delahaye's, that Giuseppe Fagoni designed.
Awesome. So the one that you have, you already have one fiberglass up and everything. What's your thought for color?
I hadn't really thought about colors yet. To tell you the truth, I haven't got that far in my mind. I just anxious to see how it's fitting together. But from Ramsey just literally throwing it together with blocks holding the fenders in place and stuff like that. The first I saw of the thing, it got my motor running. Unfortunately, Ramsey went into the hospital on Saturday. With not COVID related. It had to do with respiratory, COPD.
Yes.
COPD, respiratory problems. He went into the hospital on Saturday and got out Monday and called me this morning, and he says that he's doing fine and it's not COVID related. So
that's good.
But Ramsey's the guy that built my Sprague Zephyr, and we've been friends for, I don't know, 40 years.
Awesome. That's good. Yeah. I'm excited to see that, because if you're excited, I know I'm gonna be excited. I think we're all gonna be excited to see that. And
I really get a rush off of cars, good looking cars, but they're so few and far between.
Oh, I feel you. Yeah, definitely.
You look at, I mean.
Yeah. And I don't know, I'm a little partial to the Sultan, man. The one that was at your house. I mean, I want to see that one when that one's done. That's going to be nice.
As do I. I was just talking with John Caswell, or emailing with John Caswell, and he's the guy who designed the Sultan. And I told him that the Sultan may go back into the shop, maybe Tommy Caruso's shop, to get the exterior trim put on it, and the windshield made, and the grill made.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. I think, you got a lot that I like, but I think that's one of my favorite, man. That's a showstopper. That's a showstopper, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that one when it's done. So definitely going to keep up with you to see the progress on that. So, the other thing that I think your thing cut off at where that I wanted to capture again. I think I was asking you, what's next for you, and what's going on, and you started to explain that you didn't want to leave all this stuff for your wife. God forbid if anything happens. So if you want to go back into that, that would be great. Okay. And I think I'll have everything that I needed.
Well, you saw the stuff I had in my garage there. Yeah. I got that fiberglass Bugatti drop head that theoretically it was influenced by a Ralph Lauren's car. It's Gangloff body car. I'm probably going to put that into Bad Donkey Hot Rods in Hanover, Pennsylvania, and have them make it into a finished car. And asking about what colors was I thinking about for that car. That car, I was far enough to think either all like a pearl white, the whole entire car pearl white.
That would be beautiful.
Or you can't lose with Bugatti black. I mean, you can't. Black is beautiful, man.
It's like a tuxedo. It's always presentable, right? Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, it really is. You got to wash it right away, but I got to do that. Take that car and send that over there. Hopefully, the Sultan is going to go into Tommy Caruso's shop. Tommy Caruso is a panel beater in Plainfield, New Jersey. Top panel beater. He's had 2 or 3 cars that were best of show at Pebble Beach in the past 10 years. And he's had other years when his cars won that won the best of show, there were other cars of his that were in the same competition that got eliminated by another one of his cars.
Wow, that's amazing.
He's the super panel beater.
And that's like a trade that's, there's a couple of young people I've seen that are out there doing it, but I mean that's old school when you talk about body work and stuff like rolling that metal and stuff like that. So
it's a lost art.
It is, and so I don't know, you could hook that up, man. Maybe one day, we can talk to him as well, because I mean, that's the kind of stuff I like to feature and stuff that.
He's a great guy too. He really is.
So maybe maybe as the weather breaks, I was gonna actually come up there this weekend, and you guys got like 2 or 3 feet of snow, man. I was like,
you know what? They said it was gonna be bad. Now my son got a foot up in Connecticut. But we only got like 3 or 4 inches. It was nothing.
Oh, really? Because I was going to come up and I was like, man, I don't want to get stuck in Newark,
It's for another $40 for a ticket.
Yeah, man. You know me. It's worth the risk, right? $40. Hey, I'll spend that on lottery tickets. But yeah, definitely in the springtime, I got to come back up and see some other guys, Hot Rod shop up in Rockland County. That I'm going to definitely come up there and spend a couple days up there too. So yeah, maybe we can hook something up, and
sure.
I'll give you a call whenever I'm in the area, man. But I appreciate our newfound friendship, and I just appreciate you be so accommodating and helping me out with this and giving us your time.
I'm honored. All right.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, me too, man. I mean, this has been great. I can sit here and talk cars all day long, and so can you. And I've learned a lot from you. I mean, just doing the background and getting up to speed with what you've done, and then seeing the influences, and reading up on those guys, and it's just amazing. And we see stuff, in the 21st century, everything's just so easy to make and so easy to do. But even what you do and the vision you have is like old school, and it comes across in everything that you do. And that's what fascinates me about, what you're doing and what you've done. So, again, Terry, thank you so much for giving me your time and, and talking and looking forward to your projects and some of the things that you got coming up. So thank you, my friend.
Okay, pal. God bless.
Yes, you too.
Digital guy. How much would it cost you to build me a wood buck? You know what a buck is?
It's like a model.
A male mold. Yeah, if you think of a buck, you think of up in your grandma's attic, a wood form that they used to put in the dresses on.
Right, correct.
So that's what a buck is, or a male mold.
Okay.
I says, how much would it cost you to build me a buck, which was probably 18 feet long? And he says, $5,000.
Wow.
And to build one over here, it's $25,000, $35,000 to build a buck.
Mm-hmm.
And he built it and delivered it, and included buying all the materials and delivering it to this other guy. And then this other guy built this body for me out of steel. And it's funny, I went into his shop, and he's got like 5 Laotian or Thai guys, young guys working for him. Mm-hmm. And there was a Maserati over there with a crashed-in door. Mm-hmm. And his he started with a 4x4 sheet of flat sheet metal, mm-hmm. and he had a flat body hammer and a 2x4 and another like a Thai guy to hold it for him. Mm-hmm. And he started banging on this sheet metal at 8:30 in the morning, and by noon he had made a door skin using a flat body hammer and a 2x4. No English wheel, none of that, no power hammer. It was all by hand. And I said, okay, you convinced me. So I had him build me this body, and then it shoot back over here and had a chassis made for it. I now have a customer who is in line. When we finish working on this, I bought James Hetfield's Jaguar, 48 Jaguar, mm-hmm. and I'm having it finished for this guy, changing it from a 4-door sedan into a 5-window coupe, 2-door.
You showed me pictures of that.
Yeah, and that's coming along, and that'll be done in the next couple of months, and then we're going to start on this thing over here. The thing that, of all the things I've ever done in my life, and I've done a lot of wacky things, and I've done a lot of whatever, like my car shows and things of that nature, when my kids could walk into a Walmart and buy Dad's car at the Walmart, that was the thing that impressed them.
Yeah, of all things, right?
It was unusual too, because I got royalties on the selling of the Scrape Zephyr. So for years, I was receiving checks from Mattel.
That's awesome.
They stopped doing that. They stopped giving people royalties on the models. But usually they didn't build it. They didn't copy an exact specific car. Usually they would design up some toy.
Right,
so they didn't have to pay any royalties.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah, in the studio, and they digitized the whole car. and then they made the car using, they made the Hot Wheels using that digitized information. And they made 80,000 of these things in the first printing, and they were purple. Doors open.
Yeah.
I think the trunk open. The doors in the trunk open. Yeah, the doors should open.
There you go.
They made 80,000 of these things, and they sold out instantly. You can still buy one on the internet, but they sold out 80. They made 80,000 of them. Then they did 3 more printings of them in different color schemes, black with flames and this and that and whatever. And
oh man, just so many things. One other thing I wanted to touch on. How did it feel? You went to Edsel Ford's house.
Yes.
And stuff like that.
I was actually there a couple of times.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that.
There was an event in Detroit called Eyes on Design, and it's held at the Edsel Ford Estate, which is absolutely a beautiful grassy thing with great old buildings and things of that nature. And it's all the car designers in the industry get together and they throw this event once a year. That's a car show. It's all invitation only. It all has to do with really, really beautiful cars. And they give the proceeds to a eye charity. That's why they call it eye. It's for it's all a charity thing. And I went there with the sedan delivery. At one point in time, I was invited to come, but then they came up with a new thing that they tried last year for the first time. They had a featured designer. They'd never done it before, and they picked me, and they asked me if I wanted to come and bring 4 or 5 of my cars. A couple of the cars that I arranged to come there are cars that I had previously owned and sold, but I had the owner. One guy came from Texas, another guy came from Pittsburgh or whatever it was, but I had 5 cars there on display. So this is my big thing honoring Terry Cook, and it rained the whole day. I mean, the field was a mud pie. There were cars stuck in the mud, and it rained the whole day. It was terrible, but I was really, really honored. That was one of the things that I was really honored with, and I made a 15-minute video that I screwed you on the link if anybody wants to go to. Now you got to understand, I'm not a pro IT guy. It was another silver tape and scotch tape.
It's perfect. It's perfect,
and a video. I did that using the iMovie thing from Apple.
Right.
But that was one of the things that in my lifetime that I've been honored. What I've really been honored were being invited to the Louis Vuitton thing was great. Being invited to Eyes on Design. And when we brought out Scrape in York, Pennsylvania at the Street Ride Nationals East in about 99 or something of that nature, they gave us an award for something or other it was. And on Sunday, when they give away the pickup truck, they have a drawing, they give away a pickup truck. The whole grandstands at York Fairgrounds is full of guys waiting to see if they won the pickup truck. Because you have to be there with your car in order to win. And when we pulled our car out from behind a barn in front of the thing, everybody in the grandstand stood up and gave us a standing ovation. And I said to Ramsey, Ramsey Mosher, who built the car, I said, look at that, they're all standing up. I've never seen that before. Then, about a year or so later, when I sold the car in Pebble Beach at the RM auction, a really high-tone auction, it sold for $275,000, and I mean I paid $3,500 for the car when I bought it. And when we brought the car in the door to go up on the stage for the auction, everybody stood up in the auditorium again. It was like 2,000 people, and they weren't standing up for the other cars. So when we came in, they were standing up, and I said that's twice that car. The first day I debuted it and the last day that I owned it, it got a standing ovation from a lot of people.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was.
That car is
that was another place where I was really honored.
Cool. Is there a greatest moment out of all the things that you've experienced and everything that you've done?
No, there is not a greatest moment. Like I told you, there was a 30-day period I had with those 3 events that would stack back to back. So that was hard to beat. And driving my Lincoln around Paris or around England was an absolute blast. We had a tape made with nothing but songs about America. I want to live in America, or the American Woman, or James Brown, Living in America. And all the songs had to do with America. I had my buddy make a tape. We had a tape player in the Lincoln, and we had speakers in the grill that was not like the boom boom car stereos now, just the regular speakers in the grill. So we're driving around Paris and we're playing, you know, James Brown, you know, whatever it is, and people hear the music and turn around and look and see us, and just like, it was like we were from another planet, like we were driving a UFO. I mean, there's so many moments like that. It's hard to say what was my greatest enjoyment. I mean, it's just constant thing of people coming up to me and telling me that they like my car.
Good stuff.
That's as good as it gets.
That's what I call getting your flowers while you're alive. Stuff. You know, that's good. That's awesome. Well, Terry, I mean, you certainly deserve it, man. You know, for the younger generations and some people who may not have known these cars. So, you know, I've always been around cars, and back in the day before internet, you know, my parents bought the Encyclopedia Britannica. So, you know, you get the A book, and I would go to automobiles, and I'd look at all these, and I've always loved the Cords, and the Auburns, and, you know, all these other cars, and, you know, some of these things. So I think that's what intrigued me about your stuff. And, you know, this is an era where, you know, everyone's 60s, 70s cars now, maybe 50s is still popular and stuff like that. But these cars are like my dad's cars, you know, I mean, stuff like that. So I just, these things are works of art. They're rolling works of art. So
I appreciate that.
And you know, I want to see that sculpting when it's done. So maybe, you know, you can have me back and we get some pictures of the progress or whatever. You know, I would love to see that.
We can get your pictures out.
When that's done, I definitely want to see that. So, I mean, is there anything? You know, I know you, like you said, you don't want to leave any projects. God forbid if anything happens. But is there anything in you that you like? I gotta get this done, or, you know, is it? Or have you kind of like satisfied all those things in your head?
I mean, I've satisfied it. I got to tell you right now, after I build a car, it's a challenge to very often to get the money back that you have invested in it, because they're such oddball cars. But then again, you get it when you start getting to the point where cars cost more than $200,000. You limit your audience in terms of who's going to be able to buy.
Absolutely.
And the funny thing is that in my mind, some of the cars that I've had built for me are really, really stunning cars and more beautiful than a lot of real cars, but because they are not the real authentic car that came from a car factory, the car collectors don't associate a value, you know, that kind of value with it. Are you familiar with Rick Dorr stuff?
No.
Rick Dorr builds unbelievable, beautiful cars, and he too has been building stunning cars that are really, really beautiful. But he did just sell his last one for $500,000.
Wow. So, I definitely got to look him up.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm just, all these things are going through my head, man, because there's just so much material from you. Tell me about the exhaust on I guess it's from the De La Haye.
A couple of them. There was a couple of them that had multiple exhaust fans.
So was that your concept? I mean, it's got the four on each side, but I mean, they got that curve and you come to that point. Was that your design?
Yeah, basically.
Man, you know, it's those little details like that, man, that give it the wow factor.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you about that because those things stand out, man. And I would love to hear that running.
No, it was quite honestly, it was a fake. It had one exhaust pipe and one exhaust pipe that came back, and then it had a box underneath the back of the car that had four pipes coming out of it.
Okay.
So it worked, but it wasn't eight exhaust pipes that ran the whole length of the car.
Right. But
on my Pacific, that was a BMW V12, and I had 12 pipes coming out the back. And that wasn't 12 exhausts. It was 1 and 1 with a box with 6, and a box with 6 tailpipes on either side.
But I mean, you have that vision, man, and it's awesome that, you know, even if you're not doing it hands-on, that you got the right people involved and to bring that vision. I mean, I restore cars, you know, definitely not on the level of what you're doing. And I know it's a painstaking process, man. It's not overnight. So many things take years. And you know, you have that vision in your head, but to finally see it come to fruition, I think that's the big satisfaction.
I mean, you got to figure out what I'm doing is, for most of these cars, I'm just copying what somebody else has done, except I'm kind of morphing them together. That Bugatti was a Auburn Bowtail speedster body with a Bugatti nose with De La Haye fenders, so it was a combination of 3 different cars, you know. I don't know, it's just, you got to do something. I don't play golf.
I hear you, man. Golf is cheaper, I think. But So I have my one-off questions, and this is going to be kind of hard for you to do, I'm sure. But so you did tell me, but what was your first car?
It was a C dragster. It was an injected Chevy dragster. The first car that I had that ran. The first car that I had was a Chomp Model A two-door sedan that I bought and I was working on. I bought a Chomp Model A two-door sedan on a 32 frame rails. The bodywork was all done, and it had a grill shell, 32 grill shell and grill. I bought it for $150. Today you could sell the grill out of that thing, a stock, a perfect 32 quart grill for like $1,000. But that was the first car that I had that I didn't finish it. I switched over to a C dragster, and that was an injected Chevy. It was the first car that I ever had that ran.
Wow. Most people just are happy to have a regular car. You went straight to the dragster.
Yeah.
So, okay, if money was no object, and you know, you're definitely up in the upper echelon of cars. If money was no object, what car would you want? Either that you had or...
Good question. You know, I've never owned a Ferrari or never associated with Ferraris because they were always way out of my reach financially. But I did see a Ferrari for sale for like $80,000, which was some guy from England was telling me he was going to buy my Bugatti over there for $60,000, and I says, well, I could take that and I could come up with another $20,000. And I'd like to have a Ferrari. I talked to a friend of mine who's got 2 or 3 Ferraris. He says, you don't want a Ferrari. He says, because when you got to put a clutch in it, the clutch is $12,000 for the part. I mean, the Ferraris are so astronomically expensive. I might like to buy a 911 Porsche and zip around in it just for the fun of changing gears and stuff like that. I've got my 62 Dodge out there that I love the hell out of it. Now I paid $9,000 for that.
Oh wow.
I put cruise control in it, I put a radio in it, I fixed a couple of things that were wrong with it. And I gotta tell you, I love driving that thing. It's just such a ugly, it's the opposite of my other stuff. It's so ugly, but I drove it to Detroit and back for the Detroit Auto Show this year, and it ran like a clock. It was not, it was a sweetheart. And it has the rear-facing seat, the drive-in movie seat, where you put the tailgate down and you sit in the back of the car and watch the drive-in.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, how much fun can you have for $9,000?
That's it. Well, Terry, man, like I said, this has been an extinct pleasure, man, and to really sit down and finally meet you in person. You know, we've had phone calls and emails back and forth, but it was so worth it to come out here and see you in person. I thank you for, giving us some time to just, chop it up. So we're going to get some pictures of some of these cars and stuff like that, and we're going to certainly have some content on there.
I'm stringing Christmas tree lights around the back door of my house, and rather than wrapping the lights around the garland out in the cold, I sat in here yesterday and had a couple of beers and I strung the lights and I'm doing that. And I said, hey, let me see if the lights work to make sure before I do this. And I plugged them in and they lit up and I said, nah, let's drape them over the
picture
handle up there because it is the season.
Definitely nice.
Another thing you might want to shoot a picture of is if you look at the ceiling in here.
Oh, wow.
These are all events that I did.
Wow.
I pasted them up on the ceiling. I got tired of pasting them up on the ceiling that you could shoot up. Because that's an unusual.
I didn't even look up.
Unusual decor.
Yeah, this is a nice little man cave, man.
It is.
Nice little garage.
It's a pole barn. It's a pole barn that the guys from Pennsylvania, Mennonites or whatever it is, came over and built, which I really liked. 32 by 40. I can put 7 cars in here if I use the dollies underneath the wheels to jam them in here. But it is my man cave.
Oh yeah, man, this is definitely nice. So man, that's just about it. I'm sure there's some other things in the top of my head, some stuff that I had written down.
You can always call me on the phone and interview me over the phone if you have any other questions.
Awesome, man. So definitely thanks a lot, man. Extinct Legends definitely appreciates having Terry Cook on our show today.
Well, I wish you the best of luck with Extinct Legends.
All right, thanks,
and I hope a lot of people tune into it and enjoy it, and that you do it for years and years, and that. I hope that God is good to you guys as He's been to me.
Amen to that. Amen. Yes, definitely. Thank you, sir.
All right.